Earlier today, an independent watchdog group have released a report saying that Trump had broken the law when he withheld funding to Ukraine. So now, this is a report by the Government Accountability Office. Um, and in it, they said the White House Office of Management and Budget, OMB, withheld funds appropriated for Ukraine's security in order to advance the president's own personal agenda. That, of course, happened last summer. That's what launched the impeachment inquiry. Now, doing so, they say, violates the Impoundment Control Act. Now, that's a law, of course, that governs Congress's role in the federal budget process. In fact, this was passed in 1974, and it says that the president must inform Congress of his plan to hold up or not spend money that has already been approved by Congress. Now, President Trump, of course, did not do that. In fact, Congress found out quite a while after these funds were held up that they were being held in the first place. So now, let me give you a quote here from the report. They said the faithful execution of the law does not permit the president to substitute his own policy priorities for those that Congress has enacted into law. So this is a good separation of powers story. Now, they said the OMB had withheld funds for a policy reason, which is not permitted under the Impoundment Control Act. Therefore, we conclude that the OMB violated the ICA. Now, again, that is significant because that is breaking federal law. So now, the president, as I said, did this for his own personal reasons. Now, he says, oh, no, it's to fight corruption in Ukraine. It's very, 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 very big corruption going on in Ukraine. We got to do something about it. Now, it turns out the big corruption is in the White House. But see, look, we have long since learned that corruption in the mind of Donald Trump basically means anything I can use to beat my political opponents. I mean, again, look at what they used against Hillary Clinton, Crooked Hillary. Now, there's a lot of stuff that was true that he used against Hillary Clinton that we found out through the emails. There's a lot of stuff that he said about Clinton that wasn't true. And so there was some truth, and then there was a lot of fake news around it. So, I mean, that's what happened. And so he's looking to do that again with Joe Biden. So now he decided, right, that he's going to go after Hunter Biden. Well, now Hunter Biden's on the board of Burisma, or was on the board, and that was certainly a stupid move. Obviously stupid. And yes, there's, of course, some corruption going on there as well. Now, that is legalized corruption, which means that it didn't actually break any laws. Yes, he was making $50,000 a month. That's an obscene amount of money for knowing nothing about gas. And that, of course, is a way to try to influence his father, Joe Biden. We don't have any evidence that it actually influenced Joe Biden. Nonetheless, I think the implication is pretty clear that it was an attempt to influence the Bidens to be more, I guess, favorable to their position. Happens in politics all the time. Now, what Donald Trump did in response to that, once he found that, and that had been going around, of course, the internet and the right wing for quite some time, is he said, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to extort a foreign country into announcing an investigation, not actually doing an investigation, but we want them to come out and publicly announce an investigation into the Biden family, just as Joe Biden was leading Donald Trump in the polls in a possible general election matchup. That's not an accident. This is purely political on the part of Donald Trump. This isn't about corruption at all, and we know that it's not about corruption, 100%. So now, what Trump did, allegedly, is pretty illegal, right? Now, along with obstructing congressional investigations, of course, blocking officials from giving testimony, and claiming that they have complete immunity. So that is the obstruction of Congress that he is currently facing impeachment trial in the Senate for. So now what's going to happen? Well, look, if you ask me, I think that Donald Trump is going to be acquitted by the Senate. Why? Because it's Republicans, right? I believe Republicans no longer believe in the law. They are too afraid to go against Donald Trump and their rabid base that they will, of course, back him no matter what. Now, there are some Republicans that do have some principles. You have Justin Amash. I don't agree with Justin Amash on basically just about anything. But Justin Amash was a Republican, and he got driven out of the party. He is now an independent, attacked by Donald Trump on Twitter, and that is what they fear the most. Not only being attacked on Twitter, but losing their base as well. And so, and of course, they lose their base, they lose their elections. And so that's the calculation being played right here in the Senate in this trial. And so that's why right now, since Donald Trump has such high approval ratings among Republicans, you're not going to see a lot of Republicans bend to this. I don't even think Suzanne Collins is going to, even though she's calling for witnesses. That's, of course, I believe, her attempt to try to be fair and be like, oh, no, this is a trial. And then when she hears from the witnesses, if there are any allowed, if Mitch McConnell doesn't shut it down, which I'm assuming he will, she's going to be like, well, it wasn't enough to move me. And so I will vote in favor of acquittal. That's going to help Donald Trump politically. I know it's going to help him with his base. That's going to make him even more fervent. It's not going to help him with anyone else. But as long as he has that minimal amount of base, and depending who the Democrats put up in 2020, well, I mean, that could be the difference between winning and losing. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.